Good morning, class. My name is Ms. De Leon, and we're going over subtraction using the European algorithm. First, I'm going to start off with telling y'all about some vocabulary words that we're going to be using for our math steps. So we have the ones place. The definition of that is the last or right digit in a two-digit number. So 53 as an example, the 3 is the ones place. The next one we're going over is tens place, which is the first or left digit in a two-digit number. So 53 again, that's going to be this 5 here. And then the last vocabulary word we're going over is equation, a mathematical problem. So 53 minus 42 equals 11. That is an equation. Now we're going to go over some math steps of what we're doing today. So step number 1 is put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. The second step is add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. The third step is now subtract the bottom number from the top number. And the fourth one is solve. This over here is just a smaller version of the math steps. So I'm going to read it to you, but we're going to follow the steps here. You cannot subtract a bigger number from a smaller number. We are going to add 10 to the ones place and on top and 1 to the tens place on the bottom. So right now I'm going to go over some examples with y'all, and then I'm going to have a couple of you come up and do some practice problems. So while I'm going through the examples, I'm going to give y'all some papers and y'all can do the examples with me, so that way you get a better understanding of what you're going to do. Go ahead and turn around.
Well, it's not that good.
Okay. So, get out one of my markers here. Okay, and the first example we are doing is 83 minus 57. You guys get that down? Okay, now we're going to follow the first step. Put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. So that means we're going to write a 1 right next to the 3. Everybody do that? Okay, now we're going to go to the second step. We're going to add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. So we're going to make 5 a bigger number, and we're going to turn it to 6. Y'all see that? All right. Now we're going to subtract the bottom number from the top number. So we're going to subtract this from this. So 13 minus 7 is 6. And 8 minus 6 is 2. So everybody understand that so far?
Yes.
All right, now we're going to move on to the next example. 72 minus 68. Now we're just going to go through the steps again, okay? So step number 1, put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. So in front of the 2, you're going to write a 1. And then we're going to go to the second step now. Add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. Remember, this is the one side, this is the tens side. Probably should have said that before. So what you could do is you could draw a line in between the two numbers on each side, so that way you can determine which side is the one side and the 10 side. So we're going to add a number now on the 10 side to the 6. So we're going to make 6 a 7. Now we're going to subtract the bottom number from the top number. So 12 minus 8, which is 4, and 7 minus 7, which is 0. So the answer is just going to be 4. You don't need to write the 0 because it's not relevant to the problem. Now we're going to go through the last example I have here. 24 minus 6. But for this problem, I want you to put a 0 underneath the 2 because we're going to have to make that number bigger. And I divide the line so that way we understand this is the 1 side and this is the 10 side. Now we're going to go to step 1. Put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. So next to the 4, we're going to write 1 because that's in the ones place. Now we're going to go to step 2. Add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. So we're going to make 0 a 1 because it's in the tens place. Now we're going to subtract the bottom number from the top number. So 14 take away 6 is 8. And 2 take away 1 is 1. So our answer is 18. So does everybody understand what we're doing? Okay, so now I'm going to write down some practice problems up here, and I'm going to have a couple of you come up and do the problems. And what I want you to do when you do the problems, I want you to go through the steps as you're doing it so that lets me know you understand what you're doing. Okay, so 54 minus 16, 70 minus 24, and 48 minus 29. And I'm going to put divider lines in between it so that way we all can determine which side is the tens and which side is the ones. So I'm going to get a different color now. John, if you would come up here and do the first problem, please, and explain as you're going, go through each step as you're doing the problem. If you need any help, just let me know. Okay, so what are we doing first?
Putting a 1 in front of the 4.
Okay. Now what are we going to do?
Yeah, cross off this one.
Okay.
Put a bigger number.
And what's the bigger number?
2.
Okay, now what are we going to do?
Take away,
Take away 14 from 6. So what's 14 minus 6? It's 8. When you're doing it, make sure you're saying the answer out loud so the whole class can hear. Okay, now 5 take away 2.
3.
All right, thank you. Okay, Dorina, can you come up here and do the next problem, please? Make sure as you're doing the problem, you go through each step, okay? So what's the first step?
Put a 1 in front of 0.
And which side is this side?
The 1 side.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what's the next step?
That's the side. Put a 1.
We're adding 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. So yes, we will be crossing out 2, and we'll be adding what number?
3.
Okay. So, now what do we do?
We take a
Okay. 10 take away 4.
6.
Make sure you say it loud with the class can hear.
6.
Okay. 7 take away 3 is?
4.
Okay, so what's our answer?
46.
All right, good job. Priscilla, can you come up here and do the last problem, please? Come on. Okay, so what's our first step? Okay, what's our first step? Put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. Which side is the ones place? This side. So we're adding a 1 next to the 8. So put a 1 next to the 8. Good job. Okay, now step 2 is add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. So which side is the tens place? This side. So we're going to cross out 2. Okay, and what's the next big number? What number comes after 2? Right here, next to it. 3, right there. Okay, now we're going to take away. So what's 18 take away 9? It's 9, so write a 9 there. And what's 4 take away 3? 1. It's 1. So what's our answer? Say it loud with class can hear.
19.
All right, good job. So today we went over subtraction using the European algorithm. And I'm gonna go, actually what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go over and see if y'all got your answers correct. And if you did, I will put a check by it to grade to see if you did your work correctly. So, the first step for this problem was to put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. Did John do that correctly?
Yes.
All right. So, next step was add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. Did he do that?
Yes.
All right. So we put a 2 there. And then we were supposed to subtract the bottom number from the top number. So did he subtract?
Yes.
And he got the answer. Is the answer correct?
Yes.
All right, so that means he got that problem correct. Good job, John. All right, now this problem, 70 minus 24. First step was put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. Did Dorena do that?
Yes.
All right, and what was the number she put there? Had to add next to it, a 1. Okay, so the next step was add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. So, did she do that?
Yes.
And what number did she add there? All right. Now, we're supposed to subtract the bottom number from the top number. Did she do that?
Yes.
All right. And what was the answer?
46.
And is the answer correct?
Yes.
Okay, good job, Drina. All right, and for this last problem that Priscilla did, she had a little more trouble understanding, so I had to help her a little more. So, let's see if she did it correctly. 48 minus 29. The first step was put a 1 in front of the number on the top in the ones place. So did she put a number in the ones place?
Yes.
Okay. Add 1 to the number in the tens place on the bottom. That's the second step. Did she do that?
Yes.
All right, and she added a 3 there. Was that the correct number to put?
Yes.
Okay. Now we were supposed to subtract the bottom number from the top number. Did she do that?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the answer?
19.
And was the answer correct?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all did a marvelous job today, and y'all seem to know what y'all were learning. And so again, we learned today about subtraction using the European algorithm. And tomorrow, we'll probably go over this a little more just to make sure that everybody in the class understands. So good job, everyone. Thank you.